What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. During the last part, we saw what happened when the group finally encountered Frieza, and we got to see the Saiyans become a part of the story again. Even though it wasn't a perfect victory, the group was able to secure a victory over Frieza, finally defeating him. And now, they don't need to worry about him any longer. But following all the bad things that happened last time, what's going to happen here now, and how will this shape the story going forward? We'll be discussing all that and more in this video. For this part, let's hit a like goal of 3,500 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part to this series. Anyways, let's pick up from here. The group goes back to Earth. Now that Frieza's defeated, they can return here safely. And even though ROSHI did die, it's not too big of a deal. Why is that? Well, he hasn't died before. They can just revive him with Earth's Dragon Balls. They just need to collect them, ask Shenron, and boom, it's done. This is the first thing that Kakarot wants to do. He gathers his Dragon Balls immediately, summoning Shenron and reviving ROSHI. ROSHI's brought back and he's amazed, so they actually did it. They killed Frieza. He was watching as much as he could from Otherworld. And he tells Kakarot he's proud of him, even accidentally calling him Goku. But Kakarot actually doesn't mind this time. He always usually corrects ROSHI. But you know what? He doesn't mind if ROSHI calls him that. It's kind of his human name, Goku. What a strange name. He hasn't accepted it all this time and has only gone by Kakarot, his true Saiyan name. But you know what? Considering how close he is with ROSHI, maybe he'll come to love this name, Goku. He is still a Saiyan, but he's not like the others. He's more so an Earthling. He's got two different identities. As for the Saiyans themselves, they decide they're going to leave Earth and not come back again, at least for the time being. Right now they have a goal. They want to get stronger and get Super Saiyan, as well as defeating King Cold. Wow, so there are more Frieza Force people out there. But the group's not concerned. The Saiyans think that they're going to get strong enough to defeat King Cold. And as for any other random soldiers, that's not going to be an issue either. Maybe someday they'll return to Earth, especially Raditz. They want to visit soon and hopefully they cross paths with Kakarot again. They're going to learn Super Saiyan on their own regardless, because clearly that's not something that Kakarot can teach them at the moment. Sure, he can transform into it kind of at will by now, but it's not really that easy, and it's still very strenuous, and he still needs the emotions for it. He has just as little knowledge as them. All he knows is how it feels to turn Super Saiyan. He gives them as much info as they can get, and they go off. They ask Kakarot, is that really a good idea, teaching them how to go Super Saiyan? Well, Kakarot barely knows anything about it. He only told them what he knew, and he trusts them by now. I mean, they almost all died together, and after they saw that display of power against Frieza, they're definitely not going to mess with Kakarot or anyone else here. But who knows though, if they do come back and cause trouble, which he doubts, they'll be able to defeat the Saiyans with no issues. Raditz and his brother are finally on good terms, but how will this play out in the future? Some more time passes. On Earth, everyone continues their training, including Gohan. He gets his rage and his wrathful form under control. He axes it against Frieza, and now he actually needs to learn to tap into it. He does want to learn Super Saiyan eventually like his father, but Kakarot says that's way far off. Even he doesn't know how to utilize it properly by now. But Wrathful, he's got a perfect grasp on that, and he can teach Gohan how to do that pretty easily. So they start training for that. And in the meantime, Kakarot and Chi-Chi even have another kid, another son named Goten. He's born early on in the story. I mean, think about it. There wasn't a year between the Saiyan saga or anything. There's a lot of downtime, so there's a decent time skip, probably 2 or 3 years by now. This not only gives them time to have another kid, but to get Chi-Chi back in training right away afterwards. Over this time, Kakarot eventually does get a grasp on Super Saiyan, as well as Gohan getting a grasp on Wrathful. He's still trying to learn Super Saiyan for himself. He's heavily dedicated and motivated, and he wants that same power. Remember, Gohan's a very different person in this scenario. Given the fact that his father is completely different, he's going to act completely different as well. Sure, he may have the same aspirations, but there's also Chi-Chi there being a fighter too. So if anything, Gohan's probably more focused on becoming a fighter. Since both of his parents support it, and even eventually, they want to start getting Goten in on it too, but he's still kind of young by now. Although he's almost around the age where Gohan started training, so maybe soon enough they could send him to ROSHI. ROSHI would be glad to train another one of Goku's kids. And he's very impressed with how his students are growing. Not just Kakarot either, no. Also Gohan, Krillin, Tenshinhan, everyone. He's grown stronger himself as well. Sure, he's been training regardless, but that experience with Frieza gave him a new outlook. He was so far behind everyone else, and despite his age, he could still catch up to them. He has the mastery, the expertise, stuff that others might not have. He already is an excellent fighter. He just needs the strength to go along with that, and it shouldn't be too hard to obtain. After this brief time skip, Kakarot and his family are out training one day, but then all of them sense something. It's a very small power. It's like there's someone nearby, suppressing their energy, but they can't really tell who it is because they're suppressing it so much. Although, they do know it's not something they sensed before. Actually, it might be. The more they try to pick up on it, the more they realize. It actually is kind of familiar, and there's 2 of them coming towards them. But what is this energy? It doesn't seem evil, so maybe it's not a threat. 2 people then land nearby, one of them in an orange gi, just like Kakarot's. And next to this random person is a guy that looks just like him, or at least somewhat similar. Wait a second, that gi, and both of these kids, their faces, even their hairstyles, why do they look so similar to Kakarot? And more importantly, they look similar to Gohan and Goten. And their energy too. Kakarot, Chi-Chi, and Gohan actually know now. Yeah, the energy that they're sensing, it's Gohan and Goten. Wait, what's going on here? The two introduce themselves. Yes, they are Gohan and Goten, but from a future timeline. Hence why they're so much older. Damn, they turn into pretty good warriors it seems. But for all the wrong reasons. They begin explaining who they are and why they're here. So of course there's no Trunks here. Vegeta didn't end up staying on Earth, meaning that he and Bulma never got together and never had Trunks. Although, a lot of the stuff with the androids still does happen. Androids 17 and 18 appear in the future. And no, Kakarot actually doesn't die of the heart virus here. Instead, he dies at the hands of the androids. See, usually in my videos I say that Kakarot gets the heart virus due to how he lived as a kid. Some people like to theorize that he got it from Yardrat, but you can really go either way with it. But none of those happened in this scenario, so there's no reason for him to get the heart virus. He was living at Kame House with Roshi, and he seemed to live a pretty healthy life here. Not that it really matters though. The androids still were able to kill him, and most of the other fighters, since there weren't too many left. Although, there were a few that didn't get killed, specifically Gohan and his younger brother Goten. This of course was enough to get Gohan to transform into Super Saiyan. He tried to fight the androids, but to no avail. Although luckily he did end up surviving. There were a few other survivors, including Roshi, who had some submarine living near Kame House. And Bulma was alive too. Gohan basically raised Goten himself, not just acting as a brotherly figure, but acting as a teacher to him. The two of them are both incredibly powerful, but still, not strong enough to counter the androids. Damn, Kakarot's disappointed. It seems that he didn't fully wipe out the Red Ribbon Army like he thought. But at least these two are giving him another chance to do so. They've come here to warn everyone of the androids, to at least give them a head start and hopefully let them prepare. Maybe this will change their future, maybe it'll completely erase him, or maybe it'll do nothing. Who knows, but it's at least worth a shot. Wait, Kakarot asked why they didn't find the Dragon Balls in the future. Well, they actually did, and just as they were about to make a wish, the androids came in, trying to steal that wish from them. If the androids got a wish, it would have been disastrous. And Kame made a very important decision, but also one that cost him his life. He decided to take his own life, in order to prevent them from getting a wish from Shenron. Of course, this means that no one else got a wish, but if he didn't do this, the androids would have of course gotten whatever they wanted. It could have been harmless, but it could have been terrible. They didn't want to take that risk. It was their best option. And Gohan and Goten are interested to see their past selves. Well, Goten's kinda young still in the past, so he's not really a fighter yet. But both of them see a younger version of Gohan. It's really weird for him because this is exactly how he was before. This is before the androids attacked, and he remembers all of this pretty clearly. He even remembers training out here too, which is why they came here. He tells his past self. He will unlock Super Saiyan eventually. He knows that's what he's trying to do right now. And of course he had a much different experience in the future, but the fact that he unlocked it shows. His past self can unlock it as well. But before they leave, Kakarot has one question. What about the Saiyans? Where did they go? Oh yeah, they completely forgot to mention. They did try seeking out the Saiyans in the future, but they were never able to find them, and the Saiyans never actually came back to Earth to help them. Instead of messing with time to do this, they did want to do that as their first option, but that ended up not working out. But they're still out there somewhere, at least hopefully. And Kakarot makes a really weird decision. He decides that he's gonna let the androids come. This will act as a good motivator. Of course they could try and find them now, but just like before, he's gonna decide to do this. Gohan and Goten don't really know what to think of this, but it might actually work. I mean, Kakarot's been right in the past. And regardless, these two are gonna train a bit more in the future and eventually come back to the past again, so they'll have some extra help against the androids. Not to mention, the entire group's gonna be prepared, so even though the androids will come, it's not gonna be a complete ambush like before. Maybe this will actually work. They head back to their timeline, and another time skip occurs. Kakarot's got a much better control on Super Saiyan by now. I mean, he already did it before. But with that huge jump start he had, he's trying to go beyond it too. He was able to access a new form of it, one where he buffs himself up a lot. Of course, I'm referring to Super Saiyan Grade 2, which you probably know as Super Vegeta. But he can't use this forever, although this does tell him that there's levels beyond Super Saiyan, at least beyond the current one that he has now. Maybe he can go beyond it with Grade 3, Grade 4, Grade 5, who knows? And all the while, he still is teaching Gohan. Gohan has been able to tap into Super Saiyan at some point, but he can't fully access it yet. He needs one more push, and then he could finally tap into it completely. And maybe these androids will be the push that he needs. By the time the androids show up, they encounter 19 and 20. 20 introduces himself as Dr. Gero. Oh, Kakarot sees. This is the guy that survived. This is that person that he wasn't able to eliminate from the Red Ribbon Army, the one that escaped and the one that caused all this. Well, he'll be sure to correct that mistake this time. He powers up into his Super Saiyan, while the rest of the group takes on Android 19. Krillin and 10 are able to figure out pretty quickly that these guys can absorb energy, so they warn Kakarot too, and he keeps this in mind. He's gonna make this quick anyways. And he doesn't need any key attacks either. He goes in close to Gero. Gero sticks an arm out, trying to grab Kakarot and take his energy, and and Kakarot channels all of his energy into his arm. He slices at Jiro's arm, cutting it completely off. Then he grabs Jiro's other arm, ripping it off as well, and using it as a weapon against him too. It's a bit brutal, but it's effective. Now Jiro not only has no arms, but he has no way to absorb anyone's energy. Which means Kakarot can use all the key attacks he wants. As the others hold off Android 19, he's completely open. Briefly, he powers up. This is what he calls Super Kakarot, Super Saiyan Grade 2. He draws his hands back, cupping them and charging a blast. He launches a massive Kamehameha, completely wiping out Dr. Jiro. Meanwhile, as the rest of the group takes on Android 19, Krillin's able to use a well-placed Kienzan that cuts off Android 19's arms too. Ten and Roshi then do a coordinated attack, with Gohan also coming in to help as well. Roshi goes max power, as Gohan also charges a Kamehameha, with Ten even doing the same too. Krillin launches a solar flare to blind Android 19. And then the three others launch a Kamehameha together, completely wiping out the robot. Everyone powers down. So were those the androids that they were warned about? I mean, they definitely were strong, but they were prepared this time too, so maybe that's why it wasn't as hard as they thought. Although, something's definitely not right here. That seems a little too easy. Not easy, but considering what the others went through, there's gotta be something that they're missing. Thankfully, not long after, Gohan and Goten show up from the future. They're impressed to see how strong everyone is, and they even see. Surprisingly, President Goten's even involved in the fight. He is still kinda young, so they're being cautious with him. But it's good to see that he's fighting now, and the rest of the group is incredibly powerful as well. But then they're told about the androids. An old man and a doll? That's not right. The two androids that they fought were teenagers. Twins, actually. One with black hair, one with blonde hair. A guy and a girl. And they mentioned the names Dr. Jiro and Android 19. No, those aren't the androids they fought. The ones that they fought were called 17 and 18. Oh god, there's more androids? Well, this is good. If Jiro's the one who created the androids, that means that they're probably not activated yet. So they might have prevented it. Probably. They're not too sure, and they really need to be sure just in case. So, now it's time to search for the lab. Thankfully, they don't think they're too short on time. I mean, the androids aren't activated yet. They would have known by now. They just need to find where this lab is and destroy the androids before they can be activated, if at all. They continue their search, and nothing comes up. It takes some time to look around, and eventually in the mountains, Gohan and Goten are able to find something. They call everyone over. This is the approximate location of the lab. It should be. They start searching around, and eventually they find an entrance to a cave. But something weird happens. They sense an ominous energy within. And this isn't something that even Gohan and Goten know about. They say that the androids that they fought had no energy. Since their power was mostly from mechanical stuff, they couldn't sense them. This new ominous key that they feel, it also feels very familiar, which is strange because it feels malicious, but at the same time they could sense Goku, Gohan, Goten, Chi-Chi. Kakarot even senses King Piccolo within there. And Kami too. Where are these key signatures coming from? Suddenly, it powers up. There's a massive spike in ki, and no one knows what to make of it. They get closer into the lab and they can't find anything. There's no androids here. There's just a couple of broken pods labeled 17 and 18. But there's nothing inside of them. What the hell did they stumble upon? And from the shadows nearby, they hear footsteps. Someone steps out, and that key signature goes stronger and stronger as he walks towards them. This is the guy that they were sensing, but who or what is he? He looks like a humanoid, but also at the same time, he's definitely not human. It's some kind of monster. The man introduces himself. His name is Cell. He is also an android. He's also Jiro's ultimate creation. Oh, were they looking for those other androids? Yeah, he absorbed them. They're part of him now. And now he's attained perfection. Wait a second. Perfection? What the hell's he talking about? Cell explains. He came back to the past here. He does exist in the other timelines too, but he was imperfect. He needed to get the androids for himself. In order to absorb them, he came back here. And thankfully, the lab was completely unattended by now. He was worried that they were going to find him and kill him before he can get the androids, but of course that didn't happen. He got the androids. And now, he's the most powerful being ever, Jiro's perfect creation. Although there is something to note here, Cell is not going to be the same as normal. He has no Frieza DNA. He has all four of the pure Saiyans within him, as well as Gohan, the humans, Goten, King Piccolo, and Kami too. So he's going to have less potential and be a lot weaker because he doesn't have Frieza or Cold. Also, he doesn't have the Piccolo we know, just King Piccolo and Kami. But this doesn't mean he's weak, not at all. He still is incredibly strong, and it's to the point where he feels like fighting them right now would be boring. I mean, he sees firsthand. They try fighting him and they can't accomplish anything at all. But he's gonna give them a chance. He decides to set the Cell games in motion. Pretty much like normal. Although, something else is gonna change here. Right after he sets the Cell games in motion, the group realizes that they need to train and grow stronger. But Cell's also thinking the same thing. He feels like there's more power out there that he can get. He needs to get stronger too. And he begins thinking, what methods could he apply to himself to actually get stronger? Sure, he is perfect, but maybe he can go beyond perfection. As Cell begins pondering this, this is where we'll leave off for now. So, what did you guys think about this part? Or what do you think is going to happen next time? Will Cell get stronger, and if so, how will he do that? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's try hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so we can get another part of the series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as clicking the bell icon so you're notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more parts of the series or any other videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.